Hi guys, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, let's start the class in a couple of minutes. Okay, so let's start with today's class. Yesterday we discussed the recursion 1 assignment, right, along with the sorting assignment. So for today we are left with recursion 2 assignment. Okay, so let's cover that. Let me just share my screen once. Yeah, guys, do let me know if the screen is visible. Visible, sir.
Visible, sir.
Okay, all right, just a second. Yeah, I guess now it's fully visible. So let's try and solve these problems one by one. So let's start with this array 11 problem. All right. Okay. Let's go with the problem description once. Given an array of ints, compute recursively the number of times that the value 11 appears in the array. We will use the convention of considering only the part of array that begins at the given index. In this way, a recursive call can pass index plus 1 to move down the array. The initial call will pass in index as 0. Okay, so we need to basically work upon index and figure out how many number of times the character or the digit 11, right? The number 11 is present in the array. If you have a look at the input format, the first line contains the number of array elements, that is n, and the second line is the n space separated integers, the characters or the numbers in that array. Right. For output, we need to print the number of 11s in the array, right? A single integer out. So let's quickly try and figure out. As do you guys can you guys see somewhat of similarity between this problem and the problem that we did yesterday, right? Yesterday we were like trying to find the summation. Now this time we are like actually trying to find um, the number of occurrences. Don't understand the question. Okay, see. Um, starts with the code. The name of the problem is array 11. This one, array 11 in recursion 2. Okay. Meran, what the problem is saying, we need to figure out how many times number 11, right? Number 11 is present in the integer array. Okay. Let's say we have the numbers as 11, 5, 6, and 4. Oh, sorry, 2 and 11. So how many times number 11 is present in this array? I can say twice. That is at the first index and the last index. This we have to figure out recursively. Okay, that is what the problem description says. Okay, so let's first take create scanner. Right, scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in, right? The first input that we need to take is of n, that is sc.nextInt, right? It will tell us how many integer variables or sorry, what is the length of the array that we need to create, right? We need to then create the ARR, right? New int array of size n, Now we can run a for loop for int I is equals to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus, right? Basically taking all the values from the console. ARR at I is equals to sc dot next int. Okay. Now we need to figure out the answer, right? The answer is count. So let's create, let's basically do that. We can like simply do system dot out dot print ln. What do we need to print? We need to first write a function, right? We need to first write a function static. We need to return the count. So int, let's call it the count function, right? Count, and it will take in the integer array int arr, right? Along with this, we need an index to check whether to basically check on which index we are working upon, right? So let's say int I, right? Let's keep it I, or idx you when choose anything, right? Let's make a function call from the main function to that function we wrote. So count, right? Count arr with the starting index of 0. Okay, so this is what we need to pass. Now, for the base case, can any one of you tell me the base case? Right, we need to write something if, right, this is the base case. Anyone is able to figure out what is the base case going to be? Or what are the possibilities of the base case? Yes. Yes, you are right. If I is equals to, if I is equals to ARR dot GTH, right? If the index that we are standing upon. Okay, so see, the question name is array 11, buddy. It's in the recursion 2 assignment, array 11. Okay. If you guys want, let me just share the link here. Okay, I have shared the link to the problem. Okay, the base case is key when the index that we are currently looking at is equal to the array length, right? If it is not equal to array length, then we just need to stop the search, right? Then we need to return back, right? If so, we can just return a 0, right? That basically means key, okay, for an invalid index, it's not a match, so we can return a 0. That means we haven't found any count. Okay, now we need to check if the character or the element that we are standing at, if ARR at I is equal to 11, right? If it is equal to 11, please return 1, that is the addition or the contribution of the current 11 that we are looking at, plus solve of ARR comma I plus 1, right? Okay, so now you can like figure out here. So 1 for the current 11 that we found, and please check the remaining array, right? If there is any 1 or 11, if there is any 11 in it, right? If that is the case, else what can be the case? The current element that we are looking at is not an 11. So what we can do in that case is return solve ARR comma I. That means ki, okay, the current element is not 11. So just keep on the search, right? Keep doing the search and let's figure out how many ones are, how many 11s are there in the array, right? Okay, so we wrote the 2 return cases. I don't think we need to return anything else, right? Base case handled, 11 handled. Yeah. So let's try and figure out if there is any error.
Sir, the function name is different, sir.
Acha, okay, so sorry. Yeah, thank you. Count. So, right. It will be.
Sir, in down also. Oh no, okay, okay, sir, now okay.
Sorry. Yes, it's taking a lot of time. Acha, oh sorry. I basically made an infinite loop, right? I didn't incremented the I. So we just need to do this. We need to like increment it, right? Unless you can you saw that it got stuck in an infinite loop. Right. So we are getting a 0. Let's basically debug it. If ARR at I is equals to 0, starting index is 0, then count, okay, count is return 1 plus count of plus 1 plus 1 RR at I if and else similar. Good. And we'll see and we'll read. Good. Okay, so we got the exact count, that is basically the error was in the input. I basically forgot to take in 5 also, right? So it was just taking for one array of size 1, that is 3. Okay, so did you guys understood this problem? Anyone who is not able to do it? Once we named an array with, because we don't have to name an array with, have to bracket everything whenever we are using it. Sir, please explain that. Okay. See, I guess you guys aren't able to understand the problem description, right? See, given an array of ints, compute the recursively, right? You are not allowed to use a loop, right? For loop, while loop. No, you are not allowed. You are supposed to figure out a recursive way using which you can count how many times 11 appears in the array, right? Okay, we will use the convention of considering only the part of the array that begins at the index, at the given index, right? So see, you are like checking okay, at which index we are currently standing. Please check that with the see, this problem description is like a pretty confusing thing, right? You can see it's saying a recursive call can pass index plus 1. Same thing that we wrote. It's just asking you to figure out recursively, right, which element is equal to 11 and like tell the total count of elements in the array, right? But to check the elements in the array, you can use an index, right? So it's just telling you, okay, pass an index plus 1 and start with the checking of 0 index, right? That's exactly what we did. We started with index 0 and we are like checking the array element, right? You can see I'm checking at the current element. So let's trace the call. The first call will be made to array with an index of 0, right? So it will come here. What element is standing at index 0? Let's talk about this array, right? Let's talk about this array. Okay. Yeah. So this array at index 0, I can say it's 1. So is 1 equal to 11? No, it's not. So else part will be executed, right? Return count. Now return count is making a recursive call to count plus 1 without addition of any number. Now why it's not adding addition 1 to it? It's only adding 1 to it when it finds a valid 11, right? That this element is a contributor to the total count we need to figure out. Okay. But if it's not that case, there is basically no need to count its contribution. So 1 is not 11, so we didn't count its contribution. So that's why we are skipping this plus 1, right? We just made a recursive call. Okay, we checked for the 0th element. Please check now for the second element. That is at index 1, the element was 3. So you can see I basically passed I plus 1. Now again, the recursive call was made for 3. Is 3 11? No, same. This step will be executed. Again, it will just pass on and the index will increment 11. This time it's 11, right? So we need to consider its contribution, right? We need to consider its contribution. So we can like check whether the current array I is equal to 11. If that is so, make the call, right? Why we need to make the call? Because we need to still figure out, okay, what are the number of 11s that are in the remaining array, right? That we can get from this recursive call plus whatever the count we get from the remaining array plus 1. Why 1? Because the current element that we had was also 11. So we need to count its contribution. Okay. Similarly, 1 was stored in this recursive cause memory for this first 11. Now the second call was made from this, right? Next call. So again, the element that we are like having is 11. So again, this will be executed and the index will be incremented to 2. Now for 2, it's not a 11, so this will be executed. After that, it will be checking an out of bound condition. For out of bound condition, we have a base case where we are handling it. So it will return 2. It will return 0 to the recursive call that was made from 2.
Sir, what will line number 13 will return?
Okay, so line number 28, 38. Okay, let's do the dry run of it in the notepad, right? Using a pictorial representation, if you guys will be able to learn a lot. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, I hope the notepad is visible, right? So let's say the given array, right? The given array is of 2, 3, 11, 11, and 5, right? So you can see there are only two main recursive calls, this one and this one. Let's mark them as recursion call 1 and recursion call 2, right? Any doubts in the main function, right? Any doubts in the main function, right? This taking of inputs, right? Creation of array, and simply printing out whatever this parent call, right? This main function call returns to us, right? Now see what is happening. Return count. Oh, sir. Okay. See what is happening. Let's basically create a recursive call this one. Y0, Y0. Why we are taking initial value as 0? See, because if I talk about the indexing 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we are starting from the count. We are starting from the element 0. So that's why I is basically standing here, right? On
So
this recursive.
why we don't given a bracket after writing ARR in the last line?
Okay. See, okay. Why we are not like passing it? Because here I'm passing it as a variable, right? It's a variable, right? Array is also a variable, right? It's a data structure. But whenever we pass an array, we don't like pass it like, okay, so let's say we don't pass it like this. COUNT count ARR, right? You are probably talking about this, right? And a 0. We don't
Yes,
do this because see, whenever we are like using this, okay, so what does this brackets mean? This is a D structure, right? D structure. D structure means please extract out the value, right? Extract out the value, whatever is present at the index, let's say X, right? It's only required when we are supposed to extract out the value. But when we are like passing the whole array, it's basically not required because at that time we are not like using a destructuring, right? Destructuring means we are not extracting out any value. We are like working upon the whole array, right? So the whole array of let's say 2, 11, 3. So the whole array that is 2, 3, 11, 11, and 5 will be passed using this array, right?
okay.
So whenever you pass, you do like this. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So simple. This is the parent call. Now parent call basically makes this recursion call, right? Let's trace this recursion call. Now in this recursion call, I will be writing the values of I, right? What is the I at this stage? And what is the current count at this stage, right? So count. Okay. So initially, what is the I? Please help me out. What will be the value of I in this first recursion call that is made from this part, right? This part. What will be the value of I? 0. Yes, exactly 0. So if we move with this problem execution, what will happen is it will check if I is equal to array.length. What is the array's length? It's 5. So n is equals to 5, right? And length. Is it 5? No, it's not. So it will figure out, okay, return the count only if the element at I. What is the element at I? It's 2, right? Let's also write the element here top. It's 2. Is this element equal to 11? No, it's not. So which line will be executed? This one or this one? 1 or 2? I can say 2 will be executed, right? So what is 2 saying? Okay, please don't count any contribution. Just count whatever you are getting from the remaining array, right? What does this mean? Okay, let's divide the array into half. From this, the blue part we have looked, right? Blue part we have looked. Please figure out what is remaining number of counts in the yellow part. Okay, so it's basically saying that. So let's make this yellow recursion call. Okay. yellow recursive call is made. So you can see so far we don't know what is the actual count, right? Because it was 0 and just we need to figure out, okay, so what is the remaining recursion calls doing this? Now again, a recursion call was made from this one, right? The second recursive call. What is the value of I going to be? And what is going to be the count? See, I will be 1, right? Count will, okay, let's try and figure out key count kya hoga. See, I is now standing at this 3, right? So element is 3. Is it equal to 11? No. So again, a yellow recursion call will be made, right? A yellow recursion call will be made. See, what will happen is ki now the current query is ki what are the count of 11s in the remaining array, right? Now blue will also shift, right? Blue will also shift. We have seen 2 elements, right? We have seen 2 elements. Okay. See, so far we haven't like added anything to the count, right? So just be with me. Let's complete this dry run and we will be getting a clear idea what is count. Okay. See, 2 yellow calls are being made. Now, let's figure out key what is the next time I is going to be, right? You can see key, it was 3, so no addition of any sign of thing in count. So again, our second recursive call was made, right? So second recursive call, what is the value of I going to be? Right? I can say it will be 2 because last was 1, so plus 1, 2. What is the element at this at index 2? It's an 11, right? So let's write the element as 11. Now, this time it's equal to 11, right? If condition will be executed. Now, if condition is being executed, what you can see is key, please figure out what is the count and then add a 1 to it, right? Please figure out what is the count. Okay, let's do this. Please figure out what is the recursion the remaining elements are giving to us. Please just also add the 1. Why 1? To basically count, okay, the element that we really recently worked upon was also an 11, right? So this helped us figure out, okay, so a contribution iska hoga. Okay, that's why we are like adding a 1 to it. Let's also let's keep doing the recursion calls, right? Again, a recursion call is made, right? I this time is 3, count, right? What is the element at this index 3? It's again an 11, right? So yeah, we need to figure out 11. Again, which recursion call will be made? 1 or 2? I can say it will call the first recursive call because if condition will be executed. This time I is 3 and the element is 11, so count 1 over, right? So again, just figure out what is the count of the remaining elements and add a 1 to it, right? Now, okay, so you can see so far we figured out 2 11s, right? 2 11s, right? So if I count this as the first, this count is second. So 1 yahan se aayega plus 1 yahan se aayega. So total count ho gaya 2, right? Now, let's make the next recursion call. This time I is going to be 4, count I, let's check what it will be. And what is the element? Element is 5, right? So element is 5. What is the count going to be? Again, the second line will, second recursive call will be executed, right? No 1 will be added. It will just pass on to the remaining elements, right? And we don't need to do any addition. Now, this is the base case hitting part we have reached. See, index I is just concerned with incrementing it with at 1 by 1, right? So this time I is equals to 5, right? Count kya hoga? We don't know. See, when I is equals to 5, it's basically out of bound, right? We don't have any element at 5, right? It's nothing. So that's why we are having a base case. If I reaches the array dot length, you can see the length and the current index that is out of bound is equal. Please return a 0. So I can say, okay, so at this stage, I am starting to return, right? I'm starting to return. What was the element? It was nothing, out of bound. What was the count? We just returned a 0. So let's say the count jo yahan pe mila was 0, right? Now let's trace the returning. Okay, red will now show the return. Now see what I return from this I is equals to 5 wala, I will return a 0, right? 0. So what will come here, right? Now this recursive call will be replaced by the value that was returned. Okay, So this will be orange dot will be replaced with a 0. Got it? Orange arrow represented the recursion call. The recursion call will be replaced by the value that was returned. That makes it 0. Okay. At this stage, you can see we are like returning the count, right? There is nothing else. So there is no more computation to do. So it will also return a 0, right? And it will replace this arrow with a 0. Now, this is where we had a 11 in the array. Now, you can see 0 plus 1, right? So what will be the return this time? Yeah, quickly in the chat, what will be the return this time? 1, right? Why 1? Because at this stage, we know the element that we worked upon was 11, right? So we counted its contribution. So it basically returned us कि okay, अभी तक 1 मिला है हमें, ठीक है? Okay, again 1 will replace this. Now this time 11 again. So 1 plus 1, 2 will be returned, right? What will be returned? 2, right? 2 will replace this orange, right? 2. Now at this stage, 3 was the element. So yeah, 3 is not the 11 that we are looking for. Again, it will return whatever the answer we built so far, right? Kya tha count? 2 tha, so 2 ही return हो जाएगा, so 2, right? And it will like basically replace this with 2. Now this recursive call was made from here, right? This recursive call was made from here. So it will return back to it, right? It will return back to this parent call, right? Parent call पे आएगा, क्या return करेगा? 2, ठीक है? इसने 2 return कर दिया. Now this value or this count is equals to count array function, while this value will be replaced by the value that was returned 2. Now if you look at this statement system.out.println, what will it print? It will simply print a 2, right? Because the function call was replaced by the value that we got back, right? So यहाँ पे 2 है. Now, did you guys understood how this code is working? Any doubts now? I basically explained every step. If there is any problem in any step, please let me know. Or should we move to the next problem? Understood? Okay. Okay, so let's take the next problem. Okay, Naveen, I is equals to array dot length. Again, that is the thing. We can only have a look at the elements that are in the range of in the range of the array, right? 0 से n minus 1. When it becomes equivalent to n, that is like going out of the bound. So वहाँ पे कोई element है नहीं, वो invalid case है. तो वहाँ से फिर 0, वहाँ से हमारा answer return करना चाहिए. We can't explore any further than that. So we just need to return back from that. That's the basic. Okay, so let's then do this no x. Next problem. Returning 0 part repeat. See, in a recursion, there must be a case when you start to return your answer, right? You start to construct your answer. So 0 is basically that base case hitting scenario where you will be like returning 0. Why 0? Because you are counting something, right? So adding returning a 0 basically tells us that there was nothing to be counted. So yeah, start to build your answer when you are returning back. Okay, that's why we start from a 0, right? Okay, the next problem we have is a no x, right? Let me just share its link. Right, yeah. The problem description says, given a string, compute recursively a new string where all x chars have been removed, right? No x. If x a x b is given, we need to return an ab, right? Similarly, abc, we need to return abc as there was no x, and if it is all x, we need to return an empty string. Okay, so the first thing we can do is we need to create a answer or scanner, right? Yeah, Jyoti, we can discuss it at the end. Okay. So scanner sc is equals to new scanner system dot in, right? We need to take in the string. So let's take the string in. String s is equals to sc dot next, right? Then we need to create a function call, right? Let's create a function call, and we just need to print the string. So we can also do this. System dot out dot println, right? Let's call the solve function, right? Let's figure out what are the parameters that are. Okay, so we need to work upon string. So I guess length is not required, that we can figure out. Okay, so static string return type, right? Because we need to directly print it. Let's call it a solve function. Let's work on string as of, right? String s. Let's call it str. Okay. Now, first thing, let's figure out what is the base case we can hit if, let's say, key. Okay, so before like writing the code, let's figure out how can we like approach this problem. Okay, so let's see if the string given is x, right? How can you do this? Like taking the inspiration from the previous element, we can use some sort of an indexing for, right? In a string, either we can use the same operation that we did last time, right? We just keep a track of the index that we are currently at, right? So we can do that. Okay, first element we are seeing, if it is an x, we just don't add that character to a string that we are creating. And if it's not an x, we just add that character to the answer, right? Also, if the index we are at is the outside of the bound, so let's say if index, right? Let's also keep a track of index int idx, right? Let's keep it I. If I is equals to str dot length, right? Same thing that we did, just return an empty string. Again, why empty? The same reason that we did the zero return in the previous question. So basically start from scratch, right? You know, when we use an looping, we start the variables. Let's say we are counting something, so we start from zero, right? So when we return back now, so we are like mimicking the same process in recursion. We are starting from the zeroth element. Ki zero count se shuru karo and then increment one by one, depending on the matches that you have, right? Okay, so let's say if the str dot character at, right, character at I is equals to, what do we need? X. In that case, please don't do anything. Return whatever the string you get from the remaining string, right? So do a solve of str comma I plus 1, right? Just increment the index. Else, same thing. Else return, right? Else return the current character, that is str dot character at I. Just add the remaining characters, that because see, current character comes first. After that, we will be like deciding key what are the remaining characters in the given string, right? So that's why we will first add the character and then like call the recursive function. So solve str and I plus 1. Okay, same logic. What are the parameters that we figured out? Okay, so we needed a string and an integer index. So let's pass in s for the string and starting index as 0, right? Okay, and Vikram is asking how to take arguments of function, how it is decided. See, I basically saw to like explain the process, right? It was just like going with the algorithm that you have in mind and trying to figure out what are the like actual arguments that are required, right? Initially, I thought let's do it with string only, but as I figured out, the easier way is like keeping a track of indexes. So yeah, it's like on eventual process that you like try something and like figure out what are the parameters that or the arguments. Okay, I hope this question is pretty clear. So let's try and do a run, right? Let's figure out if there is any error. Okay, so we got the correct output, that is triple A. Okay, so let's try and submit it. Okay. Let's once like have a look at the dry run as well, right? Because in recursion, dry run is a must. So let's do this. Why not 0? Okay. Yeah, a good question. Right. Okay, so is the like code visible, right? The size of the code is correct, or let me just increase it. So see, let's try with the input of S is equals to X, A, and X, right? Let me just address some of the questions that you are having, right? Line number 13, I guess you were probably asking for this, right? This one and this one. So let's again mark them as a first recursion call and second recursion.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
Meral. Yeah.
सर जो एल्स वाला कंडीशन में तुम str डॉट कैरेक्टर एट आई जो लिखे हो ना,
हाँ,
वो फंक्शन कॉल के बाद लिखे तो कोई प्रॉब्लम होगा क्या?
यस होगा। क्यों होगा वो अभी हम ड्राई रन से समझते हैं, ठीक है? एक 5 मिनट।
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Jyoti, why we are returning an empty string rather than in 0? See, because this time we are not like working on integer values, right? Last time we were keeping a track of count, so that's why we like started with 0. But this time we are working on string. So string, what will be the starting point of a string? Empty string, right? If it was an integer, we could have returned a 0, but this time it's a string, so that's why we are like returning an empty string. Got it? Okay. So again, the first recursive call will be made from this part, right? From this part, first recursion call will be made, right? So what are the parameters that we have in recursion call? Again, the string s as it is and the index I, right? What will be the initial value of I? 0. What will be the character, right? What will be the character x, right? Now, let's also keep a track of the answer that we are building so far, right? Let's make it an answer. Although we are like not using this actually, this variable, we are not using it actually. You can see there is nowhere answer in the code, but it's a working of recursion. Why we compare base value with s dot length? Why we compare? We are not comparing the base value. We are comparing the index that we are currently standing at. Instead of 0, can I put I at which place? Buddy, which place? So I, right? Currently, I is standing at index 0. It's also marked 0, 1, 2, 3, and right. So index I is 0. So I is like working at x. Now, is x equivalent to x? Yes. So first recursion call will be solved, right? So what is happening? We are like not adding something, right? We are not adding something. We are like just calling a recursion call, right? Last time we used an orange, so let's do that, right? Orange basically represents a new recursion call being called. Okay, the next recursion call is made. See, it was an x, so by default we knew that we need to like remove all the x's, all the x from the string, right? So what is the value? What is a smart way to do it? Whenever you encounter an x, please just don't add it to your answer that you are like building. Okay, apart from that, if there is anything, yeah, you can add it. Okay, one interesting thing is key, let's change this input, right? Let's not keep it a b c, let's make it a b c. Let's not keep it triple a b c, right? That way you will be able to see what happens if I change this order. Okay, now let's do this. See, what is I is 1. What is the character? I can say a, right? 1 pe a hai, right? What will happen to answer? What will happen to answer? Anybody? See, what will happen is this recursion call will be executed. What it is doing? Please add the current character to the answer, right? What was the current character? A plus, then do a recursive call. Okay, then do a recursive call. Now let's trace the next recursive call. Why? Okay, so why मत लिखो यार, थोड़ा सा बताओ क्या हो रहा है. Yeah, please let me know what is the doubt. See, you can see if current character is x, we are not like doing anything. We are just calling for the remaining values, right? If it is X, what we are doing is we are like returning something. We are like creating a string, right? We are smartly creating a string. अच्छा, I mean yes. भाई इतना भी मत करो कि समझ ना आना पार हो जाए. Okay. 3 शब्द हैं, y yes वो लिख लो, y की जगह. All right. See, first thing we are like adding a character to it, and then we are like calling a recursion call, right? First we added a and then we like did a recursive call. Okay, let's keep a track of recursion that we do. So I is equals to 2. Okay, what is the current character? Right, see b. Right, what is the answer that we are supposed to create? Right, at this stage we are not concerned what happened in past, what happened in the what will happen in future. In recursion we are like only concerned with what is happening now, right? Rest we leave to recursion, right? It's called a belief system in recursion. Okay, so I will just figure out what I need to do at my step. Rest I will leave to the recursion, right? The code I'm writing. I copied. यार मेरे तो सारे पास हुए तुम्हारे सामने, तुमने कुछ गलती करी होगी. Okay, see what will happen is at this stage which one of these two recursion call will be executed? I can say the second recursion call. Again the same step, please add the current character. What is the current character? B, right? What we need to do again after this, a recursion call. Okay, again the recursion call will be made. I is equals to 3. Let's quickly do this, right? C hoga, answer kya hoga? Answer hoga C is not equal to X, so we will be adding a C and then doing the recursion, right? After this it will like increment again, right? I is equals to 4. It is an X, so we just don't do anything. Answer is equals to nothing but a recursion call, right? Again a recursion call. See, when it's not equal to a character apart from X, I'm like not adding that character to my answer, right? So now this is the base case scenario. Why base case? Because this time I is equals to n. You can see it is of length 5, so n I can say is of 5, right? Or n, or you can say s dot length, right? Same thing. So this time base case will be base case will hit. See what will happen. I can say at base case I'm like not like considering any sort of answer to be created. It's this empty. So what will be this current string? It will be an empty string, right? A starting with without any value. So this empty string will be returned, right? So this empty string will be returned, right? Let's take this. This one will return an empty string. Empty string. Okay, this orange call will be replaced with an empty string. So the answer at this stage, I is equals to 4 is 0, empty string. Now it will again return an empty string to this orange, right? This yellow will be replaced with an empty string. See what is happening. We are adding a character C to the string that is after it, right? So now you can see, let's say whatever we get, let's say X, A, B, C, and X, right? At this stage we are currently at. Whatever we get a string up like from the recursion call is always on the right side, right? Right side हमने search करा था इसके बाद. That's why we are like first adding the current character and then like adding the whatever we got back from the recursion call, right? So इससे क्या होगा? इस side की whatever the answer we get from the right side will be added after C, right? So it basically maintains the order. Let's say we got an error, we got an answer of Y, whatever the string was. So what will happen? CY will be the answer. You can see the character order is like maintained. That's why we are first adding the character and then making the recursion call. Let's talk in an inverse manner. We are like adding the character after, and first we are like making the recursion call, right? What will happen in that case? We will get a YC. What is Y? The answer that we are getting from the recursive call. So you can see we are like reversing the order of the current string that we were working upon. So this is why it is wrong. Okay, we need to first add the character and then look for the recursional answer, right? I hope this is clear now why we are like adding the character first and then making the recursive call. Any doubts still? Okay. I guess if there will be any doubt, let's like keep doing the trace back and you will be seeing it. Okay, at this stage, what is the actual answer? I can say C plus empty string makes it a concatenation of just character C, right? So this is the answer. Okay, so this will again return a character C or a string with the character C. This will like replace with a C, right? So B plus C, what will happen? C, देखो C जो था that came after B, right? So now B was added first, like before making the recursive call, and C came back from the recursive call. So that's why we are like able to maintain the order if I added the character earlier, right? So what will be the actual answer of this? A concatenation of B and C, right? Concatenation of B and C, right? Again, this will be returned, right? What will be returned? B and C. This orange will be replaced with this A and C. Again, A plus BC. We can like say ki it will return A, B, and C, right? Orange will be replaced with A, B, C. A, B, and C, right? So now this ABC will be returned to this A, B, and C. So we basically removed all X from the string that was given to us. Well, chat to, okay, it seems so easy now. Well explained. Thank you. Okay, right? So see, just let me know if there is any doubt in like why we added the character first and then this function call. Any doubts? Okay, all right. So yeah, if that is okay, so just a random question. What do you think it is okay to go for debugging? I mean, with the help of VS Code and all, see the flow of our code. Yeah, it is like debugging is more important than knowing to code, right? See, when you write code, even though when I write code, I basically just try and figure out what are the errors. So that is exactly the debugging, right? See, when I started to learn now, I basically started with C++. If you guys know, there is a Visual Studio. See, Visual Studio code is different. Visual Studio is different. It's a proper IDE for like that language. So I just like to like basically trace every variable, what is happening at every step. So that's why like I'm able to understand, okay, when it is returning back, what will happen? When it's going down, what will happen, right? So it's a very good approach if you are like you're having a lookout at the variables, how they are changing at every execution of the line, right? You can use a software like VS Code to do write Eclipse for Java, right? Or if you are like good with pen and paper, you can like basically do a line by line execution in this diagrammatic way, right? Confuse and tried also. See, yeah, you can go to YouTube and like you can figure out what is like the actual way of using. See, VS Code is not a library, right? It's just a code editor. So I would suggest like shift to a SDE, right? Software development environment. There you will be like able to do a much better debugging, right? Rather than VS Code. Okay. Yeah, you can like have a watches and like variables checks in Eclipse. You can use that, right? Eclipse पे ज़्यादा better हो जाएगा VS Code. Okay, so let's move to the next. Okay, you guys want the code for this one, right? Let me just share it once. Okay, I guess today's class will be a bit longer, guys. We just need to complete this. Okay, so yeah, I have shared the code for this problem. Okay, so I guess let's take the next problem as this one. Okay, start. Okay, so we didn't like submitted array level, right? What? Okay, so we missed. Maybe you guys can like rewatch the recording, right? Let's say pair star. Okay, pair star. Let's go with the problem description. Right, pair star is given a string compute recursively. Given a string compute recursively a new string where identical characters that are existent in the original string are separated from each other by a star. right? That basically means ki if there are two characters that are same and like side by side, we just need to add a star in between, right? Okay, so we are given an example of hello and output comes out to be HEL star LO. All right. So I guess the problem description is pretty straightforward, right? So let's start solving this. What are the inputs? Input is containing the string. So scanner SC is equals to new scanner SYS system dot in, right? System dot in string SCR, or let's keep it as is equals to SC dot next, right? SC dot next. Now, what is the next thing we need to do? So same thing. We just can just print out whatever is the answer that we are getting from the recursive code. Just by name system dot out dot println. Right, println. Let's again call it a solve function. Solve. Right. Let's figure out what are the variables that are required. Okay. So yeah, static. Again, a string data type will be returned string string, right? And let's call it a solve function. What are the parameters that I'm like? First, I will be needing a string, right? String str, let's call it. Okay, apart from this, do I need any sort of a thing, right? Okay, let's try and do it with the substrings, right? Do you guys know about substrings? Yes. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, so if let's try and write the base case. If str dot length, right? If str dot length is equals to 0, right? 0, please return an empty string, right? Again, the same base case, right? I just like to write it. Let's say if str dot length, right? Length is equals to 1. That means there is only one character. So if there is only one character, can I like possibly do any sort of addition of star? No, because I need a pair at least, right? So at least I need a 2. So if that is the case, just return the character that you currently have. So str dot character character at, right? Character at 0, right? Why 0? Let's do that also, right? Character at 0 plus I guess an empty string, right? To just concatenate, make it a string rather than a character, because if we like return this, it's going to return a character. Okay. Now let's say if str dot character, right? Okay. So first two cases, make it sure that it's a string of greater than like size 2, right? Or size 1, right? It has at least 2 characters. So I can simply hard code it if character at 0, right, is equals to character str dot character at index 1, right? If that is the case, just return what do we need to return? The first character, right? str dot character at 0, the first character plus a star in between, right? Plus a star in between. Got it? Now let's keep it as string. Plus a star in between, plus the second character str dot character at 1, plus, now this is the recursion call that we will make, right? What do we need to do? Okay, so rather than like second character apne aap aa jayega, isko chhod. Yeah, we need to make a recursion call of solve str dot sub string, right? Sub str in the sub string of 1. Right now, how many of you guys are able to understand this line? If you are not able to understand, please write no. If you are able to understand, please write yes. No. Okay. Yeah. Apart from this, if it is not a case of like valid similarity, let's say ki else part mein kya hoga? In else part, we just need to do an else return, right? Else return str dot character at index 0, right, plus the recursion call, that is solve str dot substring starting from index 1. See, what is happening ki let's say ki we are like having a hello. What will happen? Like this time we are not like working upon indexes. So we need to somehow shift the current character that we are like working upon, right? So a small alternate way of doing that is using a substring. Substring helps us to find a as in the name suggests, substring in the given string. The parameter that it takes is the starting position of that substring. So first, what are the base cases that we are looking at? See, base cases, line number 9. If string is of size 0, does it make any sense to have any character or star? No. So just return a zero empty string. Now, if it is of length 1, still, whatever the character it is, right? So let's say I give you a string of, let's say, C. Can you add anything, any star or any sort of thing? No. The answer will be the character itself, right? Or the string itself. So I can just basically, either I can return the string dot character at, or, right? Or alternately, I can also return the string. Basically the same thing. In my code, I'm returning the character, right? Converting it to star. So let's also just keep it in a like easier way to understand. If it is of like only character 1 of length 1, so that string is going to be the exact answer, right? I can't add any star. Does this make any sense? The first two base cases, are you able to understand that?
Hello sir.
Yeah.
Sir, ये आपने 0 1 के लिए ही तो किया है, मतलब इसमें इंडेक्सेस यूज करके आई वगैरह कुछ भी।
Okay. See, Prajapati, please
0
let
1
me
को
like.
एक्सेस करेगा, उसके आगे कैसे एक्सेस करेगा सर?
हाँ, तो वहां तक पहुंचने दो ना, अभी तो सिर्फ बेस केसेस समझाई थी, समझा रहा हूँ एक एक करके, ठीक है? ठीक है. So I guess first two lines are clear, right? Now the next, let's talk about line number 12. See, substring में क्या होगा? Okay, let's just figure out what are the substrings. Let's take the hello example only. So if I write hello dot string 1, what will be the answer? Can you guys tell me what will be the answer? Right. क्या होगा आंसर? hello. Yes, hello. See, what happened is कि magically h was removed. So even though we are like working at character at index 0 and index 1, but we are like working alongside substrings, right? Like in recursive call, we are like passing substrings starting with index 1. Basically, at each recursive call, we are shifting the string with one character. So let's say कि पहला क्या होगा? LO हो जाएगा, right? ELLO, then LLO, right? Then LO, right? Then O, right? Then O, simple O. So you can see every time a recursive call is made, it is basically removing the first character from, right? Is this thing clear, right? Line number 24 said 30. Is this clear? Right? Yes. Okay. So that's why I can like use a hard-coded value. Okay, always check the first and the second character, right? I'm saying check the first and second character, but what I actually mean is ki, no, it won't remove the character at I. It will just return me whatever is the string after the position specified, right? Let's say ki I am specifying index 1. So whatever is the string starting from index 1, it will return. Okay. So what was at index 1 in hello? E was at 1. So ELLO, that was returned to me. Got it? It's not like removing any character. It's like returning whatever is left. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, although we are like working on the hard-coded values, but still we are like working with the substring, right? So that's why we are able to do this. Now this return statement is saying, okay, please add the current character that was at index 0. Why so? Because you can see whenever like we are finding the substring, the existence of the character at 0 is removed. So H will never be a part of the construction again. So why don't we like hold it in the string or the answer that we are creating, right? So हमने character hold करा, then we like added an H. Sorry, star, only if it was a match, right? पहले दो character match कर रहे थे. We found a pair that was having the same values. Now we added a star and we called a recursive code on the substring. What will happen? Again, now this time we checked for hello, and when we call a solve function again recursively, it will check for hello. So yeah, this time what was previously at index comes to the index 0, right? So we are like able to check consistently ki what is HE, are they equal, EL are they equal, LL are they equal, and LO are they equal, and O, right? In this last case where we have a single answer, basically this line number 10 will be executed and O will be just returned. We don't need to check in, right? Now, similarly, on line number 14, we are like using an else part. Let's say this was the case when the characters are matching. But line number 14 says, okay, what if the characters are not matching? Simple case of hello, H and E, they are not matching. So just store the character that you are going to remove in the next recursive call, right? And add or the concatenate this solution that you will get from the recursive call that you make, right? So that's pretty much the working of it. Now, did you guys understood this, or you guys want a dry run also, right? As we had in the previous problems. It's basically going to be the same dry run. Dry run चाहिए. Okay. So yeah, I will be needing a majority to do a dry run, right? दो लोगों से नहीं हो पाएगी. Like, is the majority so interested in seeing the dry run? Hello, Naveen. Okay, let's do the dry run then. Wait, let's copy this code. See, the class will be extended, right? We still have a one question to do, right? वो आज ही कराऊंगा. Right, dry run आपने मांगा तो dry run. Okay, so let me just increase the font size. See, again, the first recursive call will be made from this. Okay, so we like figured out कि यहाँ पे हमें ना string डालना है, right? We need to write S here. Okay, see, the first recursion call will be made from this, right? What is the string that we are currently working at? Let's keep it hello as it is, right? S is equals to hello. 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, 3 index, 4 index. Right, first recursion call. First recursion call. This time, do we need an I? No, we need an S. So screen not visible. Achha, sorry. Okay, is it visible now? Okay. So we don't need an I because we are like not working on the indexes. We are like working on the string. So what is the current string? I can say hello. Right. What is the current answer that we are building? It's nothing. What are the first two characters? Right. Character 0 and character 1. It's H. It's H and E. Are they same? Right. Let's also mark these recursive calls 1 and 2. Are they same? No, it's not. So which recursive call will be executed? The second recursive call will be executed. What it says, okay, just add the character at 0 index. What is the character at 0 index? H plus do a recursion call, right? Now we like use the substring function to figure out, okay, what will be next is, as you guys has already answered, it will be LO. What are the first two characters? E and L. What are the answer we creating? Right. Are they same? No, they are not same. So again, the second execution will be happen. So let me just mark also what execution is happening. So it is 2. It is 2, right? So E will be added, a recursion call will be made. Right. What is the S? L, L, O. What are the first two characters? L and L. Right. Answer kya hoga? Right. Now this time, what will be the recursion call do? It will execute the first, right? So it is a first recursive. See, store L plus a star plus the recursion call, right? Now, again, next part. Recursive call लगेगी right? What is the S now? Again, the first character will be removed, LO. What are the first two characters? LO. Are they same? No, they are not same. So the answer will be simply addition of the first character, that is L, plus the answer, right? Now, this is the base case this time, right? This is the base case. S is equals to 0. What is the answer that we are having? So see, we had a base case, right? In which we are like saying if it is of length 1, yes, O is a single character. It's oh, okay. कल नहीं हो पाएगा यार, तुम्हारा ना सिलेबस छूट जाएगा, आज ही करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? See, S is 0, so it is of size 1, right? So answer क्या होगा? 0 ही होगा, right? Using this base case in our base case, right? If wala part. Now, again coming back, right? What will it return? It will return a 0, right? Again replace it with a 0, or sorry, O. In that case, O, right? यहाँ से क्या आएगा रिटर्न? यहाँ से आएगा LO. यहाँ से क्या रिटर्न जाएगा? L star LO, right? यहाँ से क्या रिटर्न जाएगा? E L star LO, right? What will be returned from this recursive call? It will return H E L star L and O, right? So you can see just like working upon the additions on which, based on which condition, what do we need to add, we can like create the answer, right? It's again the same recursion pattern that we have seen in the previous two questions. Got it?
Hello.
Yeah.
सर str dot length is equal to 0 करके दिया हो ना, वो लाइन कब सर एग्जीक्यूट होगा? जब str1 is equal to रिटर्न कर देंगे हम.
See, length is equals to 0, I guess won't be executed in this part, right? Because we are handling it at case 1 also. So it's just a extra check that we have, right? It's like not that much required, right?
Okay sir.
Okay. Yeah, it's just there, but it's like, yeah, it's not going to be executed any, because whenever we have a character string of size 1, it will just start to return, right? Okay. Prajapati, I will try, but I'm not sure whether I will be able to take it or not. Will the management allow me or not? They are basically planning a class with, I guess, others, so I believe, like, so that the whole like batch is able to understand something. I don't know what is happening with the extra. Okay, so let's just quickly do the last problem for the day. Right, let's quickly do the last problem. Okay, so I guess we like didn't finish the code, right? We didn't finish. Okay, so this was the code, right? We like had to add S here. Let's try and run it. Right, let's try and run it. नहीं ये नहीं है. Was yes. So we just needed to add S here. Is my screen visible, guys?
Sir, semicolon is needed
Where?
in SOP.
Achha. Okay. So yeah, HELLO. Right, let's try and run it. See if there is any error. Okay, so we got a right answer. Right, let's try and submit it. Yeah, all test cases passed. Okay, let's basically do the last problem, that is count ABC. Now this one is a like using all the concepts that we have like learned so far. Okay, so given a problem, like in the given problem description, we have count recursively the total number of A, B, C and A, B, A substrings that appear in the given string. Okay, we need to do recursion, we need to use substrings, right? And we need to figure out the count. All three topics merged together, right? Now, we are given two special strings that we need to match, AB, ABC and BCA, right? ABC and BCA, and we need to keep a track of count. Okay, so let's start and figure out how we can do it. First thing, as usual, scanner. SC is equals to new scanner system.in. Cool. Next, we need an input for string. So string string str, or let's keep it s is equals to sc dot next. Okay, so we are like in with this string. Now we need to figure out, okay, what are the count that we like require. So let's do system dot out dot
हेलो सर सर आपकी वॉइस नहीं आ रही आई थोड़ा सा सर हैज गॉन
मीटिंग एंड हो गया था क्या?
आई थिंक सर इज लेफ्ट
सर डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया.
ओके.
हेलो
hello.
यस सर
Yeah, guys. Sorry, like my connection broke.
ओके सर डोंट ब्लेम सर
भाई नेट नहीं खत्म हुआ था, ठीक है नवीन सिंह, थोड़ा सा आराम से भाई. हाँ, yeah. Okay, as I was saying, let's figure out. Okay, so what was the return type? Yeah, we are like working on the integer, sorry, count, so we can like do an int, right? Right. So the first parameter, as we know, we will be like reading a string. So str English. Right. So string, let's call it s, and let's also keep an index, right? Because we need to figure out, okay, so what index we are like currently starting from. So int, let's say I. Okay. First thing is, let's say if index is outside of the current boundaries. So in this we can like do it smartly, right? So if I is okay, we can like use this n, like n is equals to s dot length, right? We have a variable like specifying the length. Now I can say if I is greater than n minus 2 or greater than or equal to n minus 2. What is this going to do? See, the strings that we require to check is of size 3, right? ABC and ABC. So at least I need to have 3 characters in my current string. Agreed. अगर मेरा इंडेक्स लास्ट के 2 कैरेक्टर पे पहुंच गया तो आई ऑब्वियसली नो कि इट्स नेवर गोइंग टू बी अ मैच, राइट? एटलीस्ट आई नीड 3 characters in my string. So return a 0. Got it? We need to return a 0. Okay, this thing is done. Apart from this, now we need to figure out, okay, what is the current string or the first 3 characters that I need to check. So we can like create a substring, string string, like let's call it temporary string, right? The current 3 strings that we are checking. So s dot substring starting from index I, comma I plus 3. right? The 3 characters that are required, excluding the last. So this is the syntax that we can do to basically extract the template string. So let's say my string was something like this, right? So what the line number 11 will help me do, let's say I'm standing at index this f, right? The first f, right? My I is here. So it will help me figure out, okay, so what are the next 3 characters? So F, A, and S. This is what the temp will give, right? Basically starting from I and the next 3 characters, right? F, A, S. This is what line number 11 is doing. Got it? Okay, so we have a substring in our hand. Let's keep this thing. Yeah. So let's make this thing key. We can like do this string. Let's create these 2 strings, right? Let's create S1, right? Or str1, string 1 that we need to check, that is ABC, right? The next string is strng string. Str2 is going to be the next string. What is A, B, and A? Now, let's basically figure out int count. Int count is initially 0. It basically tells you if there is a match or not. How we can do it? We can like simply check if S1, right? If str1 dot compare, right? Dot compare temp dot compare temp is equals to 0. This is a compare function in strings. I hope you guys know about it. So we can do a count plus plus. What this compare function does is basically checks whether the left and right hand values are equal. What are the left and right hand value? str1 and temp. If the strings are exactly equal, it returns a 0. If there is an imbalance, it basically returns an imbalance. Okay, so if str2 dot compare, right, compare temp is equals to 0. Again, please do a count plus plus. Okay, now these 2 statements, line number 15 and line number 18, they are mutually exclusive, right? Because temp can either be equal to ABC or ABA. Executed, right? They can't be executed twice. So I can basically write this. Okay. Now, why not else, right? Because for else if it is not executing line number 16, it will execute line number 19, right? We can like use an else if for sure, right? We can use else if, but these 2 lines are can also be written like this. Okay. Now what happens is we know if there is match, count will be incremented by 1, right? This time we can't like hard code it like previously we did ki acha match hai to fir ye karo match hai to wo karo. Right, let's basically check if it is this match or if it this match, we can do this, right? Count plus 1. Now we can like simply return count plus solve. What we need to solve s with the increment in the index, like the starting index for the substring that we need to check, right? So that's pretty much it.
So dot compare will basically compare the value of the temp as well as str or str2.
Yes, it will compare the temp with the str1 character by character, right? If the string is character by character same, it will return a 0, right? Compare basically tells if there is an imbalance, right? As I said, it will check character by character.
So it will compare one by one, not completely at a time.
No, see, let's say the strings are ABC and ABD, right? So first AA will be checked. If AA are equal, it will move to the next character. BB will be checked. BB is equal to, it will move to the C and D. Now C and D are not equal. So it will just return what is the imbalance, which string is heavier. You can like Google it and just read about how the compare function works, right? If there is a no imbalance, basically that means both the strings are equivalent, it returns a 0. Okay. Now we like compared it, we found okay, do we need to like do something at this stage? Like, do we need to like calculate the contribution of this count, right? We incremented the count. After that, the same thing that we did previously, count plus a recursive call of solve, right? कि solve पे call कर दो and with an incremented index, it will just figure out कि okay, so next position से शुरू करके अगर substring निकालते हैं recursively, so is that like giving me any answer or not? Okay, so let's do this. Acha, sorry, it's not compare, it's going to be compared to. Correct. Compared to anything else. Acha, solve maybe हमने नहीं डाला. In solve in the past, S and 0. Vikram, if you are like trying to say something, you are not audible at all. Okay, 3 errors we had. Let's do this again. Okay, so we got an answer as 2. That is, the first match was ABC and the second match was again ABC. Let's try and submit it. Okay, so we got an all test case pass, right? So this problem was built up of the previous 3 problems, right? Every concept that we have looked so far, substring, indexing, non-indexing, right? Counts, everything came down to it, right? So I would like you guys to try a dry run for this problem, right? See, you have seen the individual dry runs for every 3 steps. You are seeing the code on your screen. You can take screenshot. If you want, I can share it on the chat. Just try and spend some time with it, right? Just try and do the dry run as I did, step by step. Trace karo isko. You will be getting a very good understanding of how recursion works. Okay. Any doubts in this problem now? Line number 10.
Sir,
Acha,
why
see,
0?
Sorry.
Sir, in line 15 or 18, why we have written equal to 0?
इसके लिए यार एक बार ना गूगल पे जाओ और कंपेयर फंक्शन पढ़ो, राइट? एज आई एक्सप्लेन्ड इन ब्रीफ, कंपेयर फंक्शन क्या करता है, वो कैरेक्टर बाय कैरेक्टर चेक करके इम्बैलेंस बताता है, राइट? व्हिच स्ट्रिंग इज हैवियर. इट बेसिकली रिटर्न्स 0 इफ दी बोथ द स्ट्रिंग्स आर इक्वल, राइट? तो एक बार आपको इसके लिए ना गूगल पे जाके स्ट्रिंग का कंपेयर फंक्शन पढ़ना पड़ेगा.
और फिर इक्वल नहीं रहेगा तो फिर वो कुछ और रिटर्न कर देगा.
हाँ, अगर इक्वल नहीं है तो वो पॉजिटिव एंड नेगेटिव वैल्यूज रिटर्न करता है डिपेंडिंग ऑन द इम्बैलेंस, कि किस साइड पे इम्बैलेंस है.
Now it's clear. Thank you, sir.
ठीक है. Okay, so line number 10. See, अगर I know कि the strings that I need to match are this, right? Right. These are the strings. What are the sizes of this string? It's of size 3, right? Now let's say the current string that I have is can this ever be a match? No, because see, इसको check करना ही बेवकूफी है. क्यों? Because this length is always smaller than the three characters that are required. So that line number 10 is basically filtering out. Okay, so if index is greater than or equal to n by 2, right? लास्ट के 2 कैरेक्टर ही बचे हैं या लास्ट का 1 कैरेक्टर ही बचा, तो इसका कोई सेंस नहीं बनेगा उसको चेक करने. सो वी कैन लाइक सिंपली स्टार्ट द काउंट बाय रिटर्निंग बैक एंड वी कैन लाइक रिटर्न अ 0, right? So you can see AC is never going to be equal to AB and AC. So it's basically working upon the length and then figuring out. Okay, that's the answer. Okay, so yeah, I guess we did every problem, right? I hope I was able to explain every concept in detail, right? Several dry runs. Just one requirement, or you can say homework, is key. You need to spend some time, right? This problem, seeing me code seems pretty easy, but thinking about it will take you time. Just do a dry run, right? Try line by line how variables are passing, right? As keep a track of how values are being returned, how values are being constructed every step. That way you will be having a much clear picture compared to rest of the guys on recursion. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for my side for today's class. Phase 4, fast 4. Okay, so मेहरान, देख, टुडे इज थर्सडे, राइट? सो कल एक क्लास होगी फ्राइडे को होगी. कल क्या तारीख क्या है तुम्हारा? 30 का एग्जाम है ना? 26 हुई. कल 26 है, 27 28 को वीकेंड पड़ जाएगा, तो 29 30 29. आई गेस वी विल बी हैविंग अ क्लास एट 29. right? So yeah, I guess we have like three classes, right? Basically every like module that we have on the portal is completed. Yeah, every module. I mean, I can do like string, but see, as I was like instructed, like from the internal team की please take the assignments as it is, क्योंकि वो ना चाह रहे हैं कि आप लोग वो जो लाइव डाउट सेशन वाला हिसाब मतलब कोई पोर्टल है ना इनका उसको ज्यादा यूज करो स्प्रिंग के लिए, राइट? और लाइक यू कैन enter one-to-one mentorship session because they're like individually able to focus on you as a individual candidate and like specifically solve your doubts. लेट्स से डाउट सेशंस अगर मैं एक एक के डाउट लेने लग गया ना तो बाकी बोर हो जाएंगे यार, बाकी को क्या मिलेगा, राइट? बाकी कहेंगे सर मेरा ले ही नहीं रहे, तो वो थोड़ी सी दिक्कत है, राइट? Yeah, if we have like if when we are done with every assignment at the end we can like surely take several doubts. Okay, now there was one like guy who like said yeah he has a doubt in gym session. I guess Jyoti said it. I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
sure. Yeah.
So I'm pasting the link.
Okay.
And sir, my code, I'm also copy pasting it.
Yeah guys, if you have any doubt like you can stay. Apart from that, like class is pretty much over from my side. You are free to leave. You are like not here to
Sir, I've pasted the code also.
Mhm.
Sir, here, but the output is the output giving is correct, but the test cases are not running.
Test cases are not running.
Yes, sir. Like I think 2 or 3 test cases are not running.
Okay, so let's try and submit it. Two test cases failed, right? Print all prime numbers in range from 1 to n, right? Okay, so n is given. Yes. So how are you doing it? Let's say you took in scanner, right? Long n hc dot next. So it's going to be a long number. I'm not sure. Okay, so long, next long. Int I is equals to 1, I is less than n I plus plus if prime I some dot if prime I. Acha, you created a function. If I is equals to 1 or 0, return false. 1 and 0 not fine. Or I is equals to 0, I is less than x, I plus plus if x modulo 1 is 0, return 0 false. Okay, so you are like hard coding it, right? Hard coding it from every, let's say, perspective for
Yes,
every variable, right? First thing you can do is start from, let's say, you can like start from 3 and like increment is I plus equals to 2, right? आधे टेस्ट केस आपके इवन वाले खत्म. You basically reduced it by n. You can like simply do if क्या कहते हैं x modulo 2 is equals to 0, return false, right?
sir, but
Because you can see 3 पे
for,
अगर आप
for 2 it will return false now, but 2 is also a prime number.
yeah, see अगर कोई भी नंबर इवन नंबर से डिविजिबल है so obviously it's divisible by a 2, right? So you basically checked कि is it a even number? No, it's not even. So only possibility is कि it's an odd number. Got
Yes,
it?
sir. But
Right.
sir, 2
Let's
is
say
also a
कि
prime number.
2 is also a prime number.
Yes, sir.
So 2 is also a prime number. Let's say तो यहाँ पे भी ये कर दो ना कि let's say if x is equals to 2, right? If x is equals to 2, return true. राइट? प्राइम नंबर क्या होता है जो किसी से डिविजिबल ना हो, राइट? अगर 2 प्राइम नंबर है तो वो तो बाय डिफॉल्ट कंडीशन होगी, तो रिटर्न करो 2, राइट? उसके बाद हमने देखा क्या नंबर वो इवन है. अगर वो इवन नंबर है तो ऑब्वियसली वो प्राइम नंबर हो ही नहीं सकता, राइट?
Yes, sir.
अगर वो इवन नहीं है तो वो ऑब्वियसली किसी ऑड नंबर से डिविजिबल है, राइट? लेट्स से 9 है तो 3 into 3 से डिविजिबल है, राइट? अगर लेट्स से 17 है तो वो किसी उस वैसी नंबर से डिविजिबल है. गॉट इट?
Yes,
सो
sir.
ये समझा. अब इससे क्या हुआ, आपने टेक्स्ट केसेस आधे वो कर दिए. आई गेस द ओनली एग्जीक्यूशंस विल बी चौर कहाँ पे ले रहे हैं.
सर वो
ये
टेस्ट
show नहीं
केसेस
कर
भी विजिबल नहीं हो रहा है सर. वो हटा दिया गया है. पहले दिखता था, अभी नहीं दिखता है.
रहा. हाँ. So let me just have a look once. Okay, so yeah, again we can like try and submit it now. Let's say कि अगर time complexity से कुछ फर्क, still 2 test cases are being failed. And ये 2 test cases कौन से fail हो रहे हैं?
सर इसके बारे में मैंने डाउट सेशन में भी पूछा था, तो उस सर को भी समझ में नहीं आया। सर ने तो कहा था कोड सही है,
हाँ,
तो मतलब
वही
सर ने बोला था टेस्ट केसेस शायद गलत हो सकता है, तो बैच मैनेजर को इन्फॉर्म करने के लिए बोला था। तो मैंने बैच मैनेजर को इन्फॉर्म किया, लेकिन मैम ने बोला कि टेस्ट केसेस करेक्ट है, उन्होंने टेस्ट टीम से बात की हुई है।
एक सेकंड मैं वही देख रहा हूँ, एक सेकंड मेरे को 1 मिनट दो, मैं देख रहा हूँ।
ओके सर।
Sir, in line number 12, I should be from 2, I think.
प्राइम नंबर अगर 1 है तो 1 पे तो फॉल्स हो गया ना, इफ फॉल्स है तो वो प्रिंट होगा ही नहीं, तो फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा। ठीक है, लॉन्ग है 75, एक सेकंड देखते हैं। लॉन्ग है तो पहला प्राइम नंबर तो 2 ही है ऑब्वियसली, राइट? तो 0 और 1 वाली तो केस ही फेल हो जाता है, तो ये तो लिखने की जरूरत ही नहीं। ठीक है, अगर वो 2 ही है तो हमने रिटर्न कर देना 2 इज अ प्राइम नंबर, राइट? उसके बाद आई को हम एक एक करके इंक्रीमेंट कर रहे हैं, बेसिकली सीकिंग एवरी एलिमेंट, तो टाइम की इसकी तो इशू है हम करने की। आई तो 0 हो रहा है, अब अगर वो एलिमेंट इवन है तो फॉल्स कर दो, राइट? आई इज लेस देन और इक्वल टू, yes, we need a less than, right? We need a less than. I is equals to 3, I plus equals to 2, 2 से odd पे jump करेगा वो। बोला है 1 and n, both inclusive 1 and n. That is number, how many factors? 1 and say 1 का factor हुआ ना,
ये सर।
सर मैंने इसमें आई लेस देन एक्स बाई 2 करा तो एक केस आ रहा है बस, कि रन नहीं हो रहा, एक रन हो गया।
x by 2 तक अगर आप कोई प्राइम, हाँ मतलब मेक सेंस की यार, x by 2 तक ही जाओगे तो उतने में ही डिविजल होगा, राइट? स्क्वायर रूट तक ही होता है।
सर दो टेस्ट केस रन नहीं हो रहे थे ना, अब एक रन हो गया, अब एक ही नहीं हो रहा है।
हाँ तो एक सेकंड, आई गेस कि आप देखो, अगर आप 10 तक भी जा रहे हो तो 10 को आप कितने हिस्सों में डिवाइड कर सकते हो? 8 मैक्स उसको 5 में कर सकते हो। व्हाट इज 5? 5 उसका आधा हो गया, राइट? और यू कैन ऑल्सो से कि उसके स्क्वायर तक ही जा सकते हो, कि मतलब n उसका स्क्वायर रूट जो होगा 10 के स्क्वायर रूट तक ही आप जा सकते हो, राइट? जैसे कि 9 है, 9 को आप कहाँ तक डिवाइड कर सकते हो? 3 तक ही कर सकते हो। दैट मेक सेंस कि उसको सिर्फ 3 तक चेक करो। अगर टाइम बाउंड एरर है तब तो वो फर्क पड़ेगा, नहीं है तो फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। मेमोरी एक्सीड भी नहीं हो रही, टाइम भी नहीं हो रहा, टाइम पर पास हो रहा है, तो उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ना चाहिए, राइट? X is less than math dot sq sqrt of square root of x. Let's run submit it. Now passing this. Nice lesson. Nice lesson in this. Is fine or is fine.
So submit it once.
वही है ना, 2 केस फेल हो रहे हैं। वैल्यू स्पेस और स्टार्ट करेंगे 2 से लेके एंटर जाना है। इस टाइम अगर 1 है तभी हम कुछ करेंगे, 1 मतलब 2 आ रहा है, इसके बाद हम लॉन्ग एक्सीड अगर I is equal to 2 है तो 2 into 2 not 2 is not going to be a prime. I thought 2 is always a prime. Yes, 2 is a prime. I is equal to 2, 2 is less than 7, so it will be 2. तो इसको 2 कर दें, रिटर्न हो जाएगा. X is not equal to return false. इसको लेता है. X इसको लेता है. इसको लेता है. X modulo I is if it is like anytime it's going to be 0. Let's try that out. Sorry. 9 हुआ पास. 9 फेल हुआ. तो एक बार ना इसको खुद का मतलब खुद से लिख के देखें क्या होता है.
यस सर.
और इन टाई 9 over 14 9 over 14 पे क्या है. हाँ प्राइम आई. इसको भी कमेंट आउट कर. मैं मतलब आपका छेड़ नहीं रहा हूँ, मैं सिर्फ अपना लिख रहा हूँ. हाँ तो हमें नंबर n is equals to 2 से स्टार्ट करना है, राइट. 2 से स्टार्ट करना है और हमें जानना है n तक, लाइक लेस देन और इक्वल टू n i. ठीक है. अब हम चेक कर लेते हैं कि int वैल्यू, राइट. अगर हमारे पास int i है ही है तो ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. लेट्स से कि int is prime.
सर आई हैव डन दिस विदाउट फंक्शन, तब सर सारे टेस्ट केसेस पास हो रहे थे.
क्या
सर बिना फंक्शन के बनाए थे तो सारा टेस्ट केस पास हो रहा था इसका.
बिना फंक्शन के सारे टेस्ट केस पास हो रहे हैं
या सर.
यार. ये तो फिर मेरी समझ के बाहर है. और let's say कि int I is equals to 2, I is less than let's say कि value और let's say x, right. I plus x क्योंकि 2 है तो फिर उसको चेक करने का सेंस ही नहीं बनाता ना, right. if x modulo I is equal to 0, return of or sorry is prime is equals to 0, right. is prime is equals to 0 और कर दो ब्रेक, right. करंट लूप से ब्रेक करो. if
सर फॉर लूप में इंक्रीमेंट नहीं हुआ है.
is क्या
फॉर लूप में इंक्रीमेंट नहीं हुआ है सर.
if I is premium, the prime is equals to 1, like if it is still a prime, the system dot out dot print, right. print अच्छा next line में नहीं करना ना, वहाँ पे print ही लिखा था. print let's say I plus some space, right. एक बार इसको रन करके देखें चेंज आएगा. let's try and run it. ठीक है. Java line number 30.
सर प्राइम सर फॉर लूप के अंदर ही सर उसको डिक्लेयर किया हुआ है, वो बाहर में एक्सेस नहीं हो पाएगा ना.
क्या
सर इस प्राइम अपने फॉर लूप का अंदर में उसको डिक्लेयर किया तो वो तो फॉर लूप के बाहर एक्सेस नहीं कर पाएगा.
ये फॉर लूप कहाँ से कहाँ जा रहा है, यहाँ से यहाँ आ रहा है ना.
नहीं सर
ये
ऊपर
सही तो है.
लाइन 12.
हाँ तो सही तो है. इस प्राइम तो बस उस करंट नंबर के लिए चेक कर रहा हूँ. एरर क्या है. I cannot find symbol I and x. अच्छा x नहीं है. अच्छा नहीं I लिया हुआ है. इसको x ले लेना, इसको कुछ करो x ले लो, इसको x पे काम करो. हम चेक करें x को. let's see 235 फिर I print out 10 257 फिर से टेस्ट केस 2 फेल हो रहे हैं. तो सही है यार. कोड तो सही है, इसका अगर कोड नेट पे भी देखें तो मतलब सेम वैसे ही कुछ है। If I try to submit it, exactly. सेम लॉजिक है यार, आई गेस मेरे उसमें कुछ टाइपिंग एरर हुआ होगा, बस यही लॉजिक है यार कि वैल्यू हम चलाएंगे नंबर को 2 से लेके लेस देन नंबर तक, वैल्यूज नंबर तो सेम जैसे मैंने करा था ना, प्राइम इज 1, तो हमने बस वही चेक करा कि इफ इट इज अ प्राइम राइट, व्हेनेवर वी लाइक हिट अ कंडीशन कि इट्स नॉट अ प्राइम वी कैन लाइक सिंपली स्किप इट आउट। ओके, तो ब्रेक करो, प्राइम में है तो वापसी आ जाओ, राइट। तो वही है, इफ इट इज अ प्राइम सिंपली प्रिंट आउट अ प्राइम। एक बार स्नैपशॉट ले लो स्क्रीन का।
यस सर।
ठीक है, एक सेकंड, मेरे को जहाँ एरर लग रहा है ना मेरी स्टेटमेंट,
सर एक प्रिंट लाइन का सर एरर है नहीं क्या सर, क्योंकि लास्ट में लाइन 22 में प्रिंट लाइन भी है न्यू लाइन में जाने का।
क्या
लाइन 22 सर हमारे
So
केस में
what changes you have bring, sir?
मैं एक सेकंड वही देख रहा हूँ यार, ठीक है। ब्रेक है ना, इसको एक बार आप सबमिट कर देखिए। तो अगर इसको भी कमेंट आउट करो तो इससे कोई फर्क थोड़ी पड़ना चाहिए, ये तो इनसिग्निफिकेंट है। हाँ बस यही है, फिर प्रिंट लाइन कह रहा था भाई, कोड सही था, बस एक ये जो एग्जीक्यूशन है ना इसका
और सर वो
डिस्क्रिप्शन
न्यू
में
लाइन
दिया
में करना चाहिए था
होता है प्राइम फैक्टर इज प्राइम,
सर, लेकिन यहाँ पे कहीं पे मेंशन भी नहीं किया है।
भाई प्रॉब्लम डिस्क्रिप्शन की दिक्कत है यार, इसको ना एक बार प्रॉब्लम का स्क्रीनशॉट खींच के बैच मैनेजर को भेज दो, राइट, कोड
मैंने
सही
पहले
है।
भेजा था तो बैच मैनेजर ने बोला प्रोग्राम से मतलब क्वेश्चन सही है और टेस्ट केस भी सही है।
हाँ, वो बैच मैनेजर को ऐसे मत भेजो, पता है पहले क्या करो, बैच मैनेजर को ऐसे स्क्रीनशॉट करो, फिर भेजो कि भाई 2 टेस्ट केस पास, 2 टेस्ट केस फेल है, फिर उसको ना ऐसे कमेंट आउट करना कि लाइन कमेंट आउट करनी, फिर सारे पास हो, बस उसको बताओ कि भाई ये गलती है।
ओके सर।
ठीक है,
यस सर।
हाँ तो बस वही, फिर 2 घंटे की क्लास हो गई है यार, ठीक है 12 से पहले खत्म करते हैं, राइट। So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for today's class, right guys? So yeah, see you tomorrow. We will connect tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, a new assignment if it is, or we can like take the doubts. Okay.
ओके सर। थैंक यू
Yeah.
सर।
Thank you guys.